Okay, it's a good thing I checked that right away. Okay, it's a good thing I checked that right away. Okay. Oh, I don't want to hear myself. Yeah, I forgot I muted the my mic on OBS for a second. Yeah, we're live, by the way.
Hey,
Welcome.
hey,
Only the highest standards of
Welcome.
professionalism on Storytime with Scrappy.
Yeah,
that's
right.
crazy. You know, we're like an HBO series. That's how professional we are. You gotta pay pay-per-view for us.
Yeah. Oh lordy.
Yeah,
If Harry
HBO.
does the narration, if Harry does the narration, maybe we can pass off for a BBC show.
Yeah, HBO. Hapless, broke, overworked.
My favorite.
Or maybe if we get Jason or someone else to record in my instead of me, I could I wouldn't be against that maybe.
The narration.
I think you could do a good plank, Harry.
Oh yeah, dude, you get to be Plank. Congratulations, you're Plank today.
Yeah.
Imagine if
Best
Plank
character.
actually gets like real lines in one of these for some reason.
God, imagine.
Yeah, what would he even sound like?
Probably really masculine, you know.
Yeah. Probably be like a super deep and sophisticated voice.
Either that or he sounds just like Nathan Drake. One of the two.
Oh, let's see. Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Scrappy Fan 92. With me today are Harry, Raiderant, and returning from a brief absence, Pedrivo.
Sup? I was asleep last episode and completely missed it. I apologize.
It's
Almost
fine.
fell asleep for this episode.
It's 3 p.m. I don't know how I fell asleep last time, but it's all good.
Yes. Last episode, we read a story about Ed and Eddy because it was Cartoon Network's 30th anniversary. So now today, for Mortal Kombat's 30th anniversary, we're reading more Ed and Eddy.
Blanked out. I'm still half
Genius.
asleep. Did you say Mortal Kombat?
Yes, Mortal Kombat turned 30 today.
Yo. Let's go.
So yeah, I'll maybe I'll look into a story for that this month.
That'll be interesting.
I've never played a Mortal Kombat game.
I haven't either because
I've only
I'm
played the
bad
first
with.
two.
I haven't because I'm bad with gore.
That's why I've only
I'm just
played the
bad at
first
fighting
two.
games.
I mean that too.
Played the first one in a tournament in my high school. I got second place, and I was very mad, so I challenged the dude to a salty run back and crushed him. It made me feel really good.
You just came out with sunglasses and an explosion behind you.
Yeah.
Sounds like an intro animation for Johnny Cage.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, last time we chronicled the events of the Ed boys trying to deal with isolation in their own ways, because this story takes place after an episode where they all got grounded.
Something, life has many doors, Ed boys.
Life does have many doors, and only Double D's door works. Double D Ed boy, who had been let out early by his parents and must fend for himself in the cul-de-sac while his friends kind of wait out their sentences, so to speak. Hilarity ensued. So now we resume Me, Myself, and Ed by Zephyr Samba. This is
Excuse me.
You
lovely.
are excused.
Yo, my package arrived in my state. Let's go.
Let's go.
What were you getting?
I'll talk about it later.
Oh, okay.
Let's just get the chapter started or something.
This is Chapter 6, Oh Sister, Where Art Thou? Ed's stomach rumbled. It was well past time for Sarah to bring him his lunchtime grilled gravy sandwich. He wondered what was keeping her. It was really unusual for her not to show up. She always liked to watch him hold the sandwich between his toes. Such a nice, squishy feeling while he ate. And now that he noticed it, he hadn't heard her yelling about anything in a long time either. This could only mean one thing. The The spaghetti people got Sarah! Ed ran around, flapping his arms in despair. But now, by now, they had probably replaced all her blood with marinara sauce and enlisted her in their army of mindless slave warriors fighting against the meatball men of the Muller meteoroid and it was all his fault. The spaghetti people had probably heard his thoughts. How could he have ever wished that he was an only child? I am a terrible big brother! He threw himself on the ground and sobbed. It should have been me! Why, spaghetti people? Why? It was long moments later before he had finally cried himself out. Wiping his eyes on his jacket sleeve, he raised his head resolutely. Beware, foul inhabitants of the pasta dimension, or you will pay! He climbed to his feet, hands clenched. I will hunt down spaghetti noodles wherever they are found! He faltered for a moment. Where were spaghetti noodles found? Oh, I know! He'd once discovered one up his nose. Pushing back his sleeve, he stuck his hand up into his... Wait, what? He stuck his hand in up to his elbow. Maybe that squishy thing up there was a stash of spaghetti. He gave it a tentative squeeze. His legs kicked violently out from under him, sending him crashing to the floor, twitching. Oops! Ed released his brain and removed his hand from his nose. No luck there, although his toes did feel pleasantly tingly now. He'd have to remember that for later. Spaghetti noodles! Spaghetti noodles! He checked the hole in his wall, the drain in the floor, and the crack in the ceiling. There was plenty of cool, crawly stuff all around, but nothing that looked like a spaghetti man. Those guys could be tricky, but no doubt about it, he would find them. Oh yes. And once he did, he would make them pay for what they'd done to his baby sister. And he'd get started right away. Just as soon as he'd give his brain a few more squeezes. Just call me Mr. Tingletoes. Now that he'd made it back to the relative safety of the cul-de-sac, Double D had no intention of wandering far. He considered just going home, but was loath to abandon the brilliant summer afternoon. Perhaps he could engage in a little botanical investigation. Yes, it had been a while since he'd been able to examine the local flora uninterrupted. Who knew? Perhaps he'd even discover a new specimen to keep Jim company. That would certainly be...
Hey, Double D! What's up, dude?
Good heavens! It was Naz! And she was speaking! To him! His recent encounters had left him even more apprehensive than usual about the opposite gender. But nonetheless, this was Naz. Naz, who was always so friendly, who was always so polite, who always...
Double D?
Naz raised an eyebrow.
Hello?
He hadn't answered her yet. Oh, the inexcusable rudeness. No doubt about it, he'd be having nightmares about this for weeks.
My apologies, Naz. I was just, reflecting upon my day.
In an attempt to keep his shaking to a minimum, he concentrated on identifying the types of clouds drifting overhead.
Okay.
She giggled, then looked around.
Hey, where are Ed and Eddy? It's not like you guys to be away from each other.
That one's a cumulonimbus. And look, there's a cirrus. I'm afraid my erstwhile companions are restricted to the confines of their rooms for the duration of the week.
He winced at the verbal barrage flooding forth from his own mouth. And was his voice always so squeaky? He coughed and forced himself to try again.
That is to say, my friends are grounded.
Naz cocked her head to the side.
Aw, so you're all alone today?
She'd probably use the same look if she found a puppy caught out in the rain.
Or Double D?
Oh, don't worry about me, Naz.
He tried to muster up he tried to muster up an enthusiastic smile.
This has been a unique opportunity for me to renew my acquaintance with my fellow cul-de-sac inhabitants.
For you, Double D. You're so brave.
Naz's heedlessly patronizing smile, nevertheless, tied his entire being in knots.
Hey, I was just gonna go watch TV. You wanna come with?
Say no. Say no! This type of social interaction went light years beyond his range of experience. It could only end in some horrific blunder.
Why, I'd love to, Naz. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Naz giggled.
Sure, dude. Come on, let's go.
Double D tagged along behind, trying to ignore the warning sirens blaring through his head. Soon they arrived at Naz's house.
Well, come on in, Double D.
Double D stepped in and looked around.
It's like I always imagined it.
The place was nearly as spotless as his own, but far more trendily decorated. It resembled one of those showpieces that usually only existed within the pages of upscale design magazines.
Your home is lovely, Naz.
Do you think so? My parents did most of the decorating. So boring, you know?
She made a face.
But they did let me help out a little. How do you like my tree?
Double D suppressed a yelp as he spotted a large plastic palm tree squatting in a corner, gold trim and colored lights flashing up its trunk. Inexplicable charms and ornaments swung from every frond. On one was a little plastic tuba, on another a picture of Naz at judo class, and a sunglasses-wearing stuffed flamingo was perched on top, icing for the catastrophe. It couldn't have been any tackier if it had been draped in velvet Elvis paintings.
Why, that's, truly extraordinary, Naz. Quite the triumph of individual expression.
Despite himself, Double D had to suppress a smile at the thought of Eddy's reaction to this assault on all that was home decor. It could have been quite at home in his room.
You really think so?
Naz smiled.
Thanks, Double D. My parents keep trying to take it down. They think it's tacky.
She rolled her eyes.
Anyway, what do you want to watch?
She sat down and held up the remote.
Well, I believe...
Double D stopped cold. Was he truly about to suggest they watch the Shale Marathon currently playing on the Geology Channel?
That is to say, you're the host. I'm certain that whatever you normally watch at this time will be a pleasure.
Social blunder number 1 averted.
Aw, you're such a good sport.
She turned on the TV and flipped immediately to her show.
You know who wants to be a big bachelor brother? We gotta watch this week, dude. Next week's the season finale.
Double D groaned inwardly.
A landmark moment in modern Western culture, no doubt.
Naz nodded vaguely, already absorbed in her show. Double D sighed. So much for being the only person in the country who had avoided the onslaught of so-called reality programming. But then again, he was here in Naz's house, wasn't he? Invited to share in her very favorite television program by Naz herself. Surely exposure to any show would be a price well worth paying. And at the very least, they couldn't be any worse than the standard fare at Ed's, with his beloved Polish robot octopi, ravenous flying brain leeches, and the like. The brain leeching began almost immediately. He frowned in consternation.
If I may ask, we aren't truly expected to believe these people are acting of their own volition, correct? I mean, they're clearly being directed by...
He stammered in silence at the sight of the vague annoyance crossing Naz's face. All the response he was to receive, even after his whispered,
Sorry.
Clasping his hands together, he vowed not to cause any further disturbance. His vow quickly ran out on him.
Excuse me, but have any of these so-called fridge raid challenges been vetted by a licensed nutritional physician? I can't help but think this consumption of such, vintage herring might set a bad example for more impressionable viewers.
He winced as Naz glanced sidelong at him and pointedly turned the volume up a notch. Even as more sensible parts of his brain tried to induce lockjaw, he listened in horror to his panic centers launching into full-scale mollification mode.
Forgive my interruption. I hope you would understand my concern if you have ever been privy to Ed's gastronomic habits. Why,
He offered a nervous giggle.
the first time he encountered a full wheel of cheese.
Double D!
The force of Naz's full-on irritation was enough to mercy kill his words on the spot. What in heaven's name was he doing? He was a guest, for goodness' sake. Double D tried to keep his lower lip trapped between his teeth and resolved to view the show as merely an elaborate, if poorly conceived, sociological study. It worked for almost an entire minute.
I'm sorry, but this is atrocious.
He sprang to his feet.
Surely you must see that. Hidden laundry room cams? Microphones camouflaged as the free prize in their breakfast cereal? That is an egregious breach of privacy no matter what kind of fishbowl those poor misguided souls signed themselves up for. I ask you.
Naz gritted her teeth as Double D continued his rant unabated.
Villagers are nice.
Her mom, Naz's mom, always reminded her.
Be nice to everybody.
It was usually so easy. She turned up the volume until it hurt, to no effect this time. She thought Double D would be no trouble without Eddy and Ed around, but maybe Kevin was right about all three Eds. She would never say it, though. Wouldn't even think it.
Be nice. Be nice. Be nice.
It always worked so well before.
Whoever thought it would be a grand idea to house 7 people in a place with only 1 bathroom? That's so unsanitary. Not to mention the...
Naz's hand dug into the armrest. Okay, maybe she would think it. Just a little.
Dork.
Yay, that's 1 chapter done. I feel like I've been punished for missing the last episode. I had to do a female voice for the whole chapter. Thanks a lot.
I mean, I have 2 lady characters, so...
Yeah.
I mean,
I
imagine
get you.
being me last week. I had to do a character who was kind of thirsting after another one of my characters.
That sounds great, though.
Wait, you're playing
I had
Eddy?
You could really play it up.
No, one of the cankers, remember?
I know. I just need to head to the washroom quickly.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So he's going in there to check and see if there are any hidden cameras there, you know. Really spooked him this past chapter.
There's a microphone hidden in the back of the toilet.
Yeah. Jeez, imagine how spooky that'd be. Like, reality TV is kind of creepy, not gonna lie. Like, if those people are legit, like the Kardashians, people were really trying to keep up with them. I'm convinced all of that has to have been fake, because there's just no way that they let that many cameras just chill in their house like that. No privacy. I never watched it though, so I'm just assuming.
I mean, I'm sure the Kardashians are just another reality show.
Yeah, of course. Like their entire character is just them. They're always acting. Do you think their children are hired actors? Gotta say, I've never seen baby Kylie before. Only known her since she was an adult.
I don't watch reality TV, so I can't really bounce off too well.
It's all good. I only know Kylie. That's the only name I remember.
I have nothing
The
to
only
add to this.
The only reason why I know that name is because of the epic rap battle of history between Bruce Banner and Bruce Jenner. Because there's a verse after both of them, transform. The Hulk says, the only good thing you produce, Kylie ass. She 18, Hulk smash. And that gets me good every time.
Okay.
Or only good thing you make, not produce. That flows better. Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, yeah, Kanye married Kim.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
god.
feel like everybody's married Kim at this point. You know, in 2032, I'm gonna marry Kim. It's gonna be crazy.
That's gonna be really weird. Oh my god.
I bet there's like a whole corner in the afterlife of people who have married Kim Kardashian.
Oh my god.
They're like, "What are you in for?" "Oh, I married Kim." "Dude, you too?" "Yeah." "Bro, all of us have married Kim."
Oh, one of the afterlives is reserved specifically for people who married Kim.
Yep. You see, and the best part is all of the dudes there are probably like super high ego, and they think that they're just there because they're like A-list celebrities and stuff. But then, like, when they ask one of the angels or demons, whichever one, depending, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you guys are all you all married Kim Kardashian, and we just kind of have to split you off from the rest of the group. You're kind of different. We can't quite put a good judgment on you. It's like purgatory, but specifically for Kim Kardashian.
What did I walk into?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about
You
it.
can go back and listen to that conversation some other time.
I don't want to.
Then I guess you're never finding out.
Yep,
Sad.
we're keeping our lips sealed, you know.
And leave for 2 minutes.
Don't worry. You'll know once you reach the afterlife. I'm sure you've married her too.
Don't worry, Scrappy. If you leave again, I'm sure we'll talk about something else that's equally as insane.
Giving us just a couple minutes to talk about something. It'll result in something beautiful, I promise. Bound to happen.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Good stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, this story's got 69 reviews.
Hey.
Nice. Hey.
Nice.
Wow, so this is based off of episode 3 in particular. Crazy.
No. The 3 is part of the title.
I just realized, yeah. God dang it. I hate it when titles start with a number. If it was like it written out instead of the number 3, I probably wouldn't have messed that up. Yeah, fight whoever made that title name.
I think double quotes would have worked better here.
Yeah, that too. Make it a little more obvious, but no. That's what confused me in the previous chapter as well, when they didn't do double quotes for the name of the, like, whatever show they were watching. I had to, like, pause for a second. I was like, wait a minute.
If it's in,
It was already in. It was already
Yeah,
in.
no, I
the
get
line
that,
of dialogue.
but it's like, we already know it's going to be in the line of dialogue. You can put the parentheses, not parentheses, quotation marks again. Just for the sake of not confusing me, in particular. Because I always miss the single, like, whatever that thing is, apostrophe. Yeah. I always miss apostrophes if they're not at the end of a word.
anyways,
So-
chapter.
Yeah.
This is chapter 7. Look who's dorking. Eddy crouched beneath his bed and finished off the few lonely chunky puffs left over from his emergency supplies. He should have restocked after. Goodness. He should have restocked after Ed had discovered the stash and crammed most of it down his throat. But somehow he'd just never gotten around to it. Well, it's not like he needed much longer now anyway. Wiping crumbs off his mouth, He put his ear to the floor and started tapping. It didn't take long before he heard what he was looking for. The hollow thump that indicated the entrance to his secret crawl space. Gosh. Eddy, my boy, you are genius. Okay, so actually his big brother had discovered the crawl space back when the room was his, before Eddy was born. When Eddy was young, his brother would use it to sneak in at night and pretend to be a monster under the bed. Upon finally discovering who the monster really was, Eddy pestered him until he agreed to reveal the well-hidden trapdoor. Sliding aside the floorboards, Eddy paused. He was always reluctant to use this route since doing so risked its discovery. And he planned on needing it more and more in his upcoming teenage years. With every other exit firmly sealed, however, he didn't have much choice other than just staying put. And that was no choice at all. He opened the trapdoor and slipped inside. It was dusty and dark, but he'd been through it enough times with his brother to know the way. I left at the first branch. He could taste his freedom already. First thing he'd do was go get Double D. Although he hadn't decided yet whether to let him hear it for not bothering to come free him, or get him right to work on their latest scam. Well, what the heck, why not do both? Another left, then a quick right. Now he just needed to decide which of the scams he cooked up over the past few days goodness gracious. Now he needed to decide which of the scams he'd cooked up over the past few days that they should do first. It couldn't be Ed's home movers, so the other kids would be lining up to have their houses carted down for a creekside view. No way could they run that one without Ed. No way could they run that one without Ed to do the carrying. Almost there now. Ed's drive-through squirrel world was probably out of the question too. Oh, he could talk Double D into putting on the squirrel costume if he wanted, but Sockhead would probably have one of his stupid ethical crises over the idea of marketing a drive-through to people who weren't old enough to drive. Some people just had no vision at all. Oh well, Ed would make a much better squirrel anyway. One last turn, and then he'd be free. He'd just pop off the hatch to the outside, and then... It couldn't be. Could it? It couldn't. It was! The floor rattled as Eddy slammed his fist against it. How? He glared at the chains looped across his would-be exit way. How had his parents known? How? How? Oh my. How? He banged his head against the floor. So many plans ruined thanks to a few stinking loops of metal. It wasn't fair. Again, he wondered how his folks had known. He'd never used the exit on his own before, and his brother... Wait. Of course, his brother must have ratted him out. His own brother, maybe faced with a longer than usual punishment, or trying to coax a few extra bucks out of their parents, must have spilled the beans at some past plea bargain. It wasn't like he needed it, even when he was living at home. He was a whiz at escaping, and probably had 6 or 7 other secret exits in his own room alone. Urgh! Eddy yanked at the chains in useless fury. What kind of heartless jerk would rat out his own brother? Selfish jerk. If Eddy had been the older one, he'd never have... Well, okay, maybe he would. In fact, despite the situation, he found himself grudgingly admiring his brother yet again. The guy always knew how to work things to his own advantage. It was really too bad Eddy didn't have a younger brother of his own. Grumbling to himself, he backed up the passageway, forget Double D, and forget the scams. Admiration or no, the very first thing he was going to do when he finally escaped was break into his brother's room and flush his stinking camel down the toilet.
The whole camp. Alright.
Get out!
Double D backed out the front door.
Nez, please, I apologize.
He winced as a couch cushion bounced off his head.
Stop! Wait! I promise to refrain from further comment if only you. I promise to refrain from further comment if only you'd give me another chance.
Pardon me. Naz stalked out with eyes flashing furiously.
I missed my favorite show because of you. How am I going to know what's going on next week?
Waving her arms, she continued her rant.
Why couldn't you just be quiet? Why do you have to be such a
She caught herself as Double D and looked down dejectedly.
Oh, I'm sorry, Double D. You're not. I didn't mean.
She rubbed her temples and sighed.
Look, just go, okay? I'll see you later.
Muttering to herself, she walked back inside and slammed the door. Double D felt a little dizzy as the guilt washed over him in waves. When would he learn to keep his opinions to himself? Naz had every right to be irate. Well, there was nothing more he could do now. He'd just have to attempt another apology after Naz had calmed down sufficiently. He shook his head sadly and turned to go. Kevin was standing directly behind him.
Oh.
Double D startled back.
Hello, Kevin.
Kevin crossed his arms and glared at him.
Is there something I can do for you today?
Well, gee. You can start by telling me what you did to tick Naz off so much, dork.
Double D shrugged nervously.
It was a rather inexcusable gaffe on my part, I'm afraid. You see, Naz had been gracious enough to invite me in to watch television with her, and I...
Hold on. You expect me to believe that Naz invited you into her house?
Kevin snorted.
Right, what kind of scam are you trying to pull, Double Dweeb?
He looked around suspiciously, probably wondering where Eddy was.
Unlikely as it sounds, Kevin, that's exactly what occurred. She apparently felt...
You, in Naz's house, invited.
Kevin's eyes narrowed as he mulled this over. Double D was sure he didn't want to be around for whatever conclusion Kevin was going to make.
Yes, well, one never knows when events will take a turn for the unexpected, eh, Kevin? I really must be going now. I have a significant number of chores to which I should attend before...
Too late. Kevin refocused on him. Double D calculated the likely differential between Kevin's speed and his own, and realized he should have started running several days ago.
Awesome.
Kevin, wait, I didn't...
Double D paused mid-cower.
Excuse me?
You were in Naz's house?
Kevin was looking at him with awe? Admiration? No, more likely he was considering how he could profit from this.
Dude, how'd you get her to let you in?
You mean she's never invited you?
Kevin's clenching fist suggested this was an unwise line of questioning.
Well, I didn't get her to let me in so much as she did so of her own volition.
Kevin's scowl returned.
And? Why would she do so of her own whatever?
Double D looked down sheepishly.
I believe it was pity, Kevin. She appeared to feel sorry for me, as I'm on my own today, while Ed and Eddy remain grounded.
What? Yeah, right. No one's gonna feel bad about those dorks not being around.
He advanced, fist raised.
Look, are you gonna tell me the truth right now, or do I have to...
Kevin's face suddenly took on a distressingly cunning look. Double D noted as he peered out from between shaking fingers.
I mean, I'll be right back.
As he ran off towards his house, he called over his shoulder.
And if you go anywhere before I get back, you'll be sorry.
Double D gulped, wondering what Kevin had in store for him. This day could certainly be proceeding more favorably. Kevin returned several minutes later, fidgeting with his shirt.
Hey, Double D, what's up, compadre?
Double D stared, then buried his face in his hands.
Give me strength.
Never had one of their past schemes come back to haunt him in quite so unsettling a manner. In place of his normal clothes, Kevin now had on a red t-shirt, blue shorts, and a black stocking cap. Taking a moment to collect himself, Double D looks back up.
Welcome back, Kevin. You certainly are looking familiar.
Yeah, well, I thought it was time I ditched that old outfit of mine for something more cooler.
He slung an arm around Double D's shoulders.
So hey, why don't you hang out with me for a while?
Did he have a choice? Double D closed his eyes briefly.
Why not?
Great.
Kevin's hat slid down over his face and he pushed it back up.
I knew you were cooler than those other two losers you hang out with.
Double D frowned.
Now see here, Kevin. Ed and Eddy may not be the most socially acceptable of fellows in the traditional sense of things, but they're my best...
Yeah, sure, shut up, will ya?
The arm around Double D's shoulders tightened in the most unfriendly manner.
Now, listen, pal, we're buds, right? Look, I've even got a book. You can borrow it if you want.
Kevin pulled a bicycle maintenance brochure out of his pocket and waved it in Double D's face.
That's what friends do, don't they? They share stuff.
Gee, wherever could Kevin be going with this?
Kevin, I truly don't have any intelligence for you regarding Naz, or how you might win entrance to her home.
He ducked out of his grasp.
I'm sorry, but...
No problem, amigo. Hey, maybe you like a jawbreaker. I've got lots back in my garage. What do you say?
Thank you, Kevin, but I've completely lost my appetite.
Oh, hey, I understand.
Kevin looked around.
I know. Let's go over to the junkyard and, build stuff. You like that, don't you?
He smiled, but the contempt on his face was clear.
Could you show me how to, hook up a stereo to my bike?
Well...
Double D scratched his chin, intrigued despite himself.
The first thing you'd require is some sort of power supply, of course. Perhaps you could attach a generator to...
He caught himself and raised an eyebrow.
To the salmon circling the Tupperware in your cabbage patch.
Huh, great, you're such a genius.
Kevin didn't even try to look away as he rolled his eyes.
Is that why Naz let you in? Do you think she's into smart guys? Why don't you show me how to act like that, pal?
Kevin, I already told you. Naz's invitation was based purely on a well-intended sense of sympathy. I don't think...
Did you get to see your room? What's it like?
Kevin, you're not listening. My visit was of such brief duration that I never even saw the kitchen, let alone Naz's sanctum sanctorum.
Do you think she'd like me better if I built her something?
For the last time, Kevin, I have no information for you. None. Not a jot, not a tittle, not an iota.
To his utter horror, Double D discovered that he'd grabbed Kevin by the shirt and was shaking him vigorously. He gasped and let go as if it burned. As if burned. Kevin slowly pushed his hat back out of his eyes.
So you're not gonna tell me anything?
Please believe me, Kevin. I quite simply have nothing that you would find of value. Here, let me help you with that.
He uneasily smoothed Kevin's shirt back into place. Kevin knocked his hands away.
Isn't this the part where you should be running?
Double D swallowed.
Yes, that would be the conventional course of action, wouldn't it?
His weak smile was met with a deepening glare.
Although, I don't suppose you'd be willing to consider an alternate...
He looked just beyond Kevin.
Oh, hello, Naz.
Naz?
Kevin tore off his hat and dove into a nearby bush.
Naz, I was only dressed like Double Dweeb as a joke. You gotta believe...
He trailed off as he peered out at a totally Naz-free landscape. His gaze turned back towards Double D, already scrambling away at top speed.
So sorry.
Double D gamely kept going. They could hear Kevin coming up fast behind him. Yes, he definitely should have started running long ago.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's the end of chapter 7.
Yep. That sure was a chapter, I must say.
Once again, the look over there trick.
Over
It works
there.
every time.
It works every time.
My favorite one is I don't remember which show it was. Maybe a few of them said it. Just thinking about like modern comedy, where they say, "Look over there, it can be a distraction." I love that.
Sounds familiar, but I can't say I know it.
Yeah, it happened in. I think it happened once in Gumball. I think, but I'm sure it's happened in other cartoons as of late as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Gumball.
Yeah,
I
that sounds about right.
Yeah. Gumball's got all that meta humor, you know. What's your
Okay.
favorite episode of Gumball, huh?
I don't know actually.
Yeah, I can't say
Probably-
I have a favorite.
They're
Wild.
called the Goons, probably.
Cool. My personal favorite episode is the episode with Nicole trying to get Darwin to be on the fridge thing, the winners thing. I love that episode so much.
I haven't seen every episode, I should say that.
good
Watched
show.
it in years.
Pretty good show. There's that whole thing with how the one of the seasons, the finale is like basically destroys the universe, and the next the season premiere of the next season like resets everything. I thought that was pretty cool. That was a real trippy episode. I think that was like season 4 finale and the season 5 premiere. But that's all I gotta say about Gumball. We can progress now.
Okay, this is chapter 8. One flew over the cuckoo's... I cannot speak. One flew over the cuckoo's park.
What was that?
Yeah,
That was a noise. That was a very non-Scrappy
Scrappy's
noise
in
that just came
trouble.
out. That
Scrappy's in trouble. He's
was
so
just
out
me.
of breath.
That was just me exhaling.
Good lord. It sounded very unnatural.
This is chapter 8. One flew over the cuckoo's park. Ed double-checked his supplies. Toilet seat? Check. His empty room left him with little to arm himself with against the deadly spaghetti men, but the toilet seat came off easily enough, and it just might come in handy. Meatballs? Check. He'd been saving them in his jacket pocket for days now, planning on making a special meatball bubblegum when they got gooey enough. Meatballs were the spaghetti men's natural weakness, though. His bubblegum would just have to wait. Well, there was nothing else to prepare. It was time to go avenge Sarah. Ed sat down and used his finger to draw on a dusty floor, trying to write out a smart plan like Double D would do if he were there. A few moments later, he beamed proudly down at the monster he'd drawn, before remembering his original intent. This wasn't getting him anywhere. Shrugging, he stood, took careful aim at his wall, and backed up for a running start. Oh gosh. Coming through! He hit at top speed and crashed through to the dirt on the other side. Wiggling up to ground level, he pulled himself to his feet. For a moment, he felt just like a creature from Zombie Night Fever, the musical, and he sploomped around with delight. Just as he was about to start whistling the big dance number, however, the alarm bell started clanging in his head. He was still grounded. If Sarah caught him now, he would be... No. Sarah couldn't catch him now. Not now, not ever again. Ed was about to start sniffling again, but got distracted as he heard someone else sobbing nearby. Hello? Hello? He crept towards the sound, toilet seat held up defensively. As he rounded the corner of his house, he came upon Jimmy. Ed squinted at the sniffling boy. Something wasn't quite right. Jimmy's eyes were redder than usual, and he seemed hollow, like he was missing something. Oh gosh. You're my only friend now, Mr. Cuddles. Jimmy stroked the teddy bear as he rocked back and forth. Yeah, it's Sarah. Trailing off, he buried his face in the bear and whimpered. How could he know about Sarah already? The shock, Ed finally realized what was going on. Jimmy must be a spaghetti slave too. In fact, Ed gasped in horror. It must have been Jimmy who had turned Sarah over to the spaghetti side in the first place. His headgear was obviously some sort of intergalactic telephone. Ed was surprised he hadn't noticed that before. Why, with Jimmy on their side, those spaghetti men probably thought they'd have no trouble taking over the cul-de-sac. Well, they hadn't counted on Ed. He left in front of Jimmy. Vile pasta! I give up. Jimmy shrunk nervously away. He must know that Ed knew. Wait, what? He must know that Ed knew that he knew that Ed. What was he doing? Ed smacked himself on the head with the toilet seat to kickstart his brain. Oh yeah, Jimmy, bad. Ed slammed the seat down over Jimmy, pinning his arms to the side. Eyes ringed, Jimmy looked down. Is this from your bathroom, Ed? He started to shake and turn green. He started to shake and turn green. He must be about to mutate. Do not try to escape, creature from the pasta dimension. Ed grabbed Mr. Cuddles and, oh my gosh, and swallowed him whole to show Jimmy he meant business.
He's unhinged. He can't be stopped.
Ed already killed one of Jimmy's stuffed animals before too.
Ed is living out his own Die Hard scenario right now.
Oh gosh. Ed grabbed Mr. Cuddles and swallowed him whole to show Jimmy he meant business. What was Sarah? Sarah! Jimmy's eyes started to water again. Eddie was horrible. She's been grounded. He did a really good job of looking upset, but he couldn't fool Ed. And it was all Double D's fault. Oh no! Double D is a spaghetti slave too? Ed was briefly appalled, but then he realized that it just couldn't be true. Spaghetti slaves were experts at blending into the crowd. And Double D, with his funny way of talking and those cool but weird things he was always making, well, didn't really pass as human. No, he might be a lizard man, or even some mad scientist bent on turning everyone into waffles, but Ed was pretty sure he wasn't a brainwashed pasta zombie. Glaring at Jimmy, Ed pulled an oozing meatball out of his pocket. Ugh. No more lies, minion of the noodle world. No more lies, minion of the noodle world. Oh gosh, he shoved it up to Jimmy's face. Tell me what happened to Sarah, or face a terrible meatballs of truth! Ah! Sarah! I'm so done. Help! The nerve of Jimmy, calling out Sarah's name after what he'd done. Ed had had enough. Oh gosh, jamming the meatball up Jimmy's nose. Jamming the meatball up Jimmy's nose, he rooted through his pockets for more. Those spaghetti people needed to be taught a lesson.
Disgusting.
What?
Disgusting.
Double D looked down. No, up. No, down at the ground beneath him. Even stretching as far as he couldn't quite reach it. Nor did he have the abdominal strength necessary to reach up and untie his feet from the monkey bars.
Where's my honest nature?
He sighed. Well, lesson learned. Next time Kevin wanted information, he'd make it up if he had to. That, or start running a whole lot sooner. For now, though, there was still the matter of getting down. If only Ed and Eddy were around, they could. Well, they probably couldn't have helped. Most likely they'd be dangling by his side anyway. Still, it'd be nice to have the company. Johnny's distinctive laugh pulled Double D out of his reverie.
It's reverie, yeah.
28, 29, 30. Ready or not, Plank, here I come.
Johnny!
Finally, some assistance.
Excuse me, Johnny. I was wondering if you could spare a moment of your time to...
Oh, hiya, Double D.
Johnny looked up and waved as he ran past.
Just a minute, me and Plank are playing hide and seek.
Double D looked over at Plank, lying face down near where Johnny had been counting. Should he say something? No, that might ruin their game. He would wait. After all, he certainly wasn't going anywhere. 5 minutes passed. All the blood was running into his head. To take his mind off of the sensation, Double D counted the number of times Johnny checked under the same... Oh gosh, hold on. Double D counted the number of times Johnny checked under the same rock. He was up to 14 already. 10 minutes passed. Johnny checked his pockets and the soles of his shoes before returning to examine the rock for the 23rd time. 15 minutes passed. Johnny hadn't moved in the last 5 minutes other than to scratch his head. Double D pulled on his hat and swung in exasperation.
Johnny, open your eyes, man! For crying out loud, you're standing on him!
I am?
Johnny jumped back and looked down.
Nah, that's just an old hunk of wood, Double D.
He chuckled.
Good one, though. You had me scared for a minute.
The force of Double D's frustrated swinging finally became too much for the knots that had kept him suspended aloft, and he fell to the ground with a crash. After a quiet moment of recuperation, he slowly picked himself up and limped over. Sighing, he reached down and turned the board face up.
Hey, it really is you, Plank.
Johnny scooped his friend off the ground and held him out at arm's length.
That was a great board impression, you sneaky rascal.
He hugged Plank as Double D looked on.
Thanks, Double D. I never would have found them without you.
Oh, you're welcome, Johnny.
Johnny and Plank's happy reunion left Double D feeling a little... Well, he was probably just tired. After all, it had been an exceptionally long day. He sat down...
Uh-oh.
And Scrappy fell down.
He sat down and Scrappy followed. Ooh, this is a long silence. So anyways, the Kardashians, right?
Where did I drop off?
Someone sat down.
Yeah.
Double D sat down on the ground.
Double D sat... Gosh darn it. He sat down on the ground and rested his chin in his hands. Johnny frowned.
Give me a second. I just lost my place thanks to my dog assaulting me.
Some.
All right.
What's the matter, Double D? You don't look too... What's that, Plank?
He held Plank up to his ear.
Really? You think so?
Johnny looked back and forth between Plank and Double D, swiping a toe across the ground.
Hey, Plank, I know. Double D can hang out with us.
Oh no, not more charity.
Thank you, Johnny. That's very kind of you to offer. But it's truly not necessary. I'm doing just fine on my own.
He stood up.
In fact...
Plank says denial ain't just the river in Egypt, Double D.
Johnny
That one
scratched
goes hard.
Johnny scratched his head and looked at the board.
I don't get it, Plank.
He listened for a moment.
Oh!
He nodded sagely, then gave an appreciative laugh.
That's a good one, buddy.
Double D sighed.
Yes, well, Plank certainly has a way with her classic psychological humor, Johnny. Now, if you don't mind, I just want.
Oh, come on, Double D, it'll be fun. And what? I almost said water. And later, we can make wheat germ smoothie. That's a thing. Wheat germ smoothies.
Suddenly, not Elt, Double D felt very tired indeed. Still, Johnny didn't look like he would give up easily.
Well, Johnny, if you and Plank don't mind, perhaps I will join you for a little while.
Woo! Look, Plank, we got a new playmate!
Johnny bounced in place, beaming brightly at Ed, Double D. After a few minutes, give me a moment.
Moment or a minute?
Yes.
All right.
After a few minutes of this, Double D coughed uncomfortably.
Johnny, is there a game you'd like to play, or...
Hey, Double D, why is the sky blue?
Ah, familiar territory. Double D relaxed and even smiled a little.
Well, Johnny, when the light from the...
Hey, Double D, why doesn't glue stick to the inside of the bottle?
there's a solvent that Didn't you want to know about the
Hey, Double D, how come there's no gravity in my closet?
blue sky?
Double D blinked.
No gravity in your...
Hey, Double D, what's under your hat?
Actually, Johnny, my...
Double D gasped and pulled reflexively down on his hat.
Johnny, I would never ask after any of your most closely guarded secrets, and I would appreciate...
Johnny's laugh cut him off.
Oh, me and Plank don't have any secrets, do we, buddy?
He nudged Plank.
In fact, you want to know something?
He looked around, then leaned in conspiratorially.
Plank's got a crush on someone.
Double D looked skyward.
Of course he does.
More loudly, he said,
And just who is the lucky recipient of Plank's affections?
Well,
Johnny glanced at Plank before continuing.
you know the third rail from the end of Rolf's fence?
He giggled.
Plank said she's got a grain that just won't quit.
Oh my.
For once, Double D found himself truly speechless.
Well, that's,
Only thing is, she won't give Plank the time of day.
He gave Plank a comforting squeeze.
I keep telling you, buddy, she's too stiff for you. Yeah, I know, love is blind, huh?
Suddenly, his eyes lit up.
Hey, maybe Double D can help. Plank, he's good at figuring stuff out.
I just misspaced, whatever.
well, to be honest, Johnny, this really isn't my...
Yeah, you're probably right, buddy. I guess he isn't exactly the smoothest guy in the block. He probably would be better off asking someone else. Oh well.
Double D crossed his arms and turned away.
I could help, you know. Some people consider me... Oof.
Suddenly, he went sprawling as Plank slammed into his back.
Ag, you're it!
Laughing wildly, Johnny ran across the playground with Plank.
Johnny, please, you should warn people... You really should warn people before you do that.
Double D picked himself up, rubbing his smarting shoulder.
Yeehaw! Can't catch us!
Johnny ran past, stretching out so that Plank passed within inches of Double D's reach. Seeing that Double D made no attempt to chase after them, he ran past again, closer this time. Still no reaction. Johnny stopped and scratched his head.
Didn't anybody ever teach you how to play tag, Double D?
Just a little closer. Just a little closer. As Plank finally came within reach, Double D lunged out to tag him. That was a grunt. Johnny pulled Plank out of the way at the last minute, and Double D, overextending himself, fell flat fell flat on his face.
I guess me and Plank are just too smart for you, huh, Double D?
Johnny laughed.
Don't feel bad, we play this all the time. You want to do something else?
He scampered over to the merry-go-round.
I know. Let's spin around till we throw up.
There's hyperactive disorder.
Double D looked over at Johnny.
I'm sorry, Johnny, but recreational regurgitation really isn't high on my list of all-time most favored pastimes. In fact, I really should be going.
Aw, don't go, Double D. We still haven't talked to the trees, or dug for buried gum wrappers, or pet the squirrels, or...
Enough was enough.
Johnny, I truly am ready to go.
Or found any onions, or made shoes for the what the heck? Or made shoes for the sparrows, or...
Johnny, calm down, lad. You're getting completely...
Or named the clouds, or tasted the swings. That's my favorite part, man.
Ah!
Hands up to his ears, Double D leapt. Double D leapt to his feet. Hands up to his ears, Double D leapt to his feet and tore off, streaking out of the park.
Or...
Johnny frowned as he watched Double D race away. He scratched his head.
Gee, I guess you were right, Plank. Double D really is a little weird without Ed and Eddy around, isn't he?
Shrugging, he laughed.
Oh well, we tried. Come on, buddy, let's go find some bumblebees to paint.
Did I just say bumblebees?
Bumblebees.
Yeah, I think I just said bumblebees on accident.
Oh, alright. We can go visit your girlfriend first. Boy, Plank, have you got...
Wait, a girlfriend now? Dang, moving fast.
The rail on Ralph's
Yeah.
fence.
Yeah, initially, Plank had a crush, but they're already going steady now.
Boy, Plank, have you got a lot to learn about playing hard to get.
Johnny poked his friend.
What do you mean I'm not the smoothest guy in the block either? Haven't you seen the way that street sign down on the corner looks at me when we go by?
He frowned.
No, I don't think she's just using me to get to you. Gee, Plank.
Still arguing, Johnny and Plank headed off towards Rolf's.
Good
The street
Lord.
sign. Okay.
That was quite a chapter.
Thanks, Harry, for your great plank voice.
Yeah, you're really supporting us, Harry. Actual
Brilliant.
genius. Yeah. You definitely got the best voice acting experience of the bunch of us, gotta say. That Plank was perfect.
My best friend, Plank.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Yep.
Okay. This is Chapter 9, Fellowships of the Cul-de-sac. Eddy could hear the padlock clicking back into place as soon as the door closed. He grumbled at the dinner his mom had just delivered. This stinks! Resting his chin on one hand, he idly pushed mashed potatoes around his plate. I'm never getting out of here.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, Eddy.
Eddy glanced up, but of course nobody was there. He slowly returned to his meal.
Eddy?
Great. Now he was hearing voices. It almost sounded like Double D too. Wouldn't that be just his luck? Stuck listening to the little yapper for the rest of the week. No way to shut him up or anything.
Eddy, look at... Oh, right.
Eddy continued to stare at his food, but he could have sworn he heard somebody drinking something. He smirked. Probably be wearing his underwear. Probably be wearing his underwear as a hat soon.
There. Much better. Hi, Eddy.
Something tugged at his sleeve, causing Eddy to glance up involuntarily. He coughed out a mouthful of pork chop. Double D! Double D? He poked his friend. It's really you! I'm free! Oh gosh, I can't speak. I'm free! Man, I can almost hug you! Lovely. With a shock, he realized he nearly was about to hug Double D. Catching himself in time, he grabbed him by the shoulders instead. And just what the heck took you so long, huh? He shook him a little for good measure.
Well, Eddie, it's been quite a day. You wouldn't believe the indignities I've endured at the hands of our fellow neighborhood inhabitants. It was...
Oh, I see. This time he meant it when he shook him. I've been cooped up in here like some animal. Well, you've been out living it up with the rest of those yahoos, eh?
Eddie, please. I assure you, I was hardly living it up. My efforts were categorically ineffective and...
Double D fell to the floor as Eddie released him. Yeah, whatever, Eddie grumbled. At least you're here now, finally. So tell me, Houdini. He gestured towards the boarded up window and sealed off air vent. How are you gonna get us out of here? Or did you just drop by to keep me company?
All been accounted for, Eddie.
Double D proudly produced a crowbar from his pocket.
That window appears to be our best option. I believe we can simply pry off those boards and be well on our way before anyone realizes you're gone.
He trotted over and applied the crowbar.
Yes, in a matter of moments we'll both be free as the proverbial bird. Just a little more.
Eddie rolled his eyes as Double D put both feet on the wall and pulled at the crowbar with all his might, only to end up in a heap on the ground. Out of the way, Orville! Let me show you how it's done. He spat on his hands and reached for the crowbar. Suddenly he paused. And you're just gonna help me escape, huh? Just like that? No complaints about this. No complaints about me disobeying my folks? He looked back over his shoulder at Double D. Nothing to say about that parental ring thing? Double D smiled weakly.
What? Can't I initiate a somewhat out-of-character adventure of my own every now and again?
No, sockhead, I don't think you can. Eddie's eyes narrowed. Just what are you up to? Double D held his gaze for a moment, then dropped his eyes with a shrug. He concentrated on plucking chunky puff crumbs out of the rug fibers.
Well, Eddie...
He sighed, not looking up.
As I'd started to explain, this has been a rather disheartening day for me. I was singularly unsuccessful in my attempts at establishing a stronger bond with any of our residential peers.
Eddie rolled his eyes. Big surprise if you talk to them like that. Accepting another endless, hard-to-follow explanation, he glanced around for something more entertaining. His gaze fell on his half-eaten dinner, and he grinned mischievously back at Double D.
Yes, well, be that as it may...
Double D continued, still staring at the floor.
Even with the rest of the cul-de-sac around, I finally came to the realization that I was feeling, well...
He tried a different approach.
You know what things are like around here. Johnny has Plank, Sarah and Jimmy have each other, Rolf has, well, his animals and his family. Even the Cankers have each other. Forgive the sentimentality, but I miss my friends.
He pushed the crumbs into a pile.
So if I have to bend a few rules to help the two of you for the time being, well, I suppose I can live with that.
Eddie blinked. Huh. He guiltily dropped the heaping spoonful of mashed potatoes he'd just scooped up. That's really... He coughed. I mean, you know, it's really... Alright, look, we gotta get back to work or we'll never be out of here. Turning, he focused on prying the boards off the window in uncharacteristically pensive silence. So, how'd you get in here in the first place, sockhead? This room's locked down tighter than Fort Knox. Double D looked up at Eddie, now working with new intensity on the window. He smiled.
Truth be told, I simply followed your mother in when she opened the door. It was simplicity itself with with my invisibility
He gasped.
That is, I took advantage of a phenomenon commonly referred to in neuropsychological circles as the cognitive blind spot in order to generate an SCP field that obscured.
Eddie's eyes glazed over. Geez, you'd think Double D was trying to bore him into not listening. Still, much as he hated to admit it, after 3 days alone, Socket's familiar rambling was almost welcome. Almost. Eddy grinned despite himself. He let him finish just this once.
Really, Eddy, I'm not too sure about this abrupt return to status quo.
Double D wrung his hands as he followed Eddy.
I had hoped we could spend a few moments strategizing first. After all, it was our impromptu efforts at effecting Ed's escape that landed us in this predicament in the first place.
Eddy strode onwards. Forget it, Sockhead. We don't have time. Just think fast, will ya? You'll come up with something good this time.
Eddy, it would only take...
It'll only take forever if you don't can it. Eddy rolled his eyes. I already let you explain that neuropsychological thing of yours for a whole half hour. What more do you want? Anyway, just think of poor Ed. He glanced back and grinned. Stuck in that stinky old basement all alone. No fresh air. Nothing to do. Think what that must be doing to that little brain of his. Double D sighed.
I suppose you're right, Eddy. Let's...
Suddenly, he was interrupted by a shrill squeal.
Good heavens! Johnny's not taken to tickling Rolf's livestock again, has he?
No, it sounded like it was coming from Ed's. Eddy started running. Let's go, Andretti, get the lead out! At Ed's house, they followed the shrieks to the backyard. Eddy ground to a halt and suppressed a snicker as he took in the scene before him. Surrender, pasta fiend! Ed perched atop Jimmy's stomach and waved a fistful of something slimy and dripping under his nose. Reveal the secret plans of your dark spaghetti masters, or face the wrath of the angry meatball! Jimmy, arms pinned to his side by a mottled gray toilet seat, tried once more to call out for help through a mouthful of meatballs nearly as green as he was.
Oh, this is so very wrong!
Horrified, Double D rushed forward.
Ed, stop! You're...
Ed launched himself at Double D, bringing him down in an ecstatic tackle. His exuberance suddenly vanished, however, and he held Double D out at arm's length.
Why, hello, Ed.
Double D grinned nervously, dangling in Ed's grasp.
I certainly wasn't expecting to see you outside. Ed?
Ed sniffed him suspiciously. Prying Double D's mouth open, he stuck his head inside for a quick look. Nope, no spaghetti sauce. Finally satisfied, he hugged him tightly. It is really you, Double D. I am so... Double D frantically wiped Ed germs out of his mouth.
Of course it's me, Ed. Who did you think it was?
Ed dropped his friend and turned to glare at Jimmy. This traitor to his plant said you were a spaghetti man just like him. He caught Double D in a headlock and noogied him. But do not worry, Double D. I know you are just a lizard. Eddy snickered.
I don't... Oh, that's Eddy.
Oh, dang it. It's almost free.
Oh, we still have one more chapter.
I don't know, Ed. Those arms of his might be made of spaghetti. Ed gasped. Hey! He galloped over and engulfed Eddy in a bear hug. This is just like the return of the 3 muskrat ears. Double D giggled.
I believe you mean 3 musketeers, Ed.
That's just what the doctor ordered, Double D. He picked Double D back up and hugged both friends even tighter. All for one, and one for the Gipper. One for the Gipper. What an idiot. Alright. This ain't a greeting card commercial. And he squirmed out of Ed's grasp. Quit wasting time. It'll be dark in a few hours. We've got to get to work if we want to make up all that cash we missed out on this week. Hello?
There you are.
What? Did I cut
I'm
out?
waiting for you.
Yeah,
No.
you cut out for your 3 words.
When? No. I don't.
Wait,
I
who
don't
cut
think so.
out?
What? What?
I'm pretty sure it's just you, Raytheran.
Oh,
I heard
really?
everything. Yeah.
I did. Okay.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
been
I-
waiting for you to say what.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
I
I
did
didn't.
say what, but I
Yeah.
guess it didn't go through.
Yeah, I
Okay.
didn't hear anyone cut out.
What?
Double D looked dismayed.
Eddie, I didn't free you just so you could rope Ed and myself back into one of your scams so soon.
Gosh. I know. Eddie grinned and ruffled Double D's hat. That's just why you need me, buddy. You still got so much to learn.
But Eddie, it's been such a long day already. Couldn't we just enjoy? No, wait.
Double D tried to pull away as Eddie grabbed him out of Ed's arms, but he soon found himself being dragged along once more.
Stop. What about Jimmy?
Yeah? What about him, suckhead?
Eddie, we can't just leave.
As Double D gestured back towards Jimmy, he noticed for the first time the pink flecks of polish still clinging to his fingernails. Blinking, he stared at his fingernails for a moment. Then looked back up at Jimmy. Well, it wasn't as though he were actually injured, and he'd surely extricate himself from that toilet seat on his own, eventually. Double D dropped his hand back to his side. Hello?
Well, yeah, okay. I didn't realize that was my line.
When there are 3 Eds, it gets kind of sketchy.
Well, as you were saying, Eddie, it will be dark soon.
He tugged his shirt free of Eddie's grip, and calmly strolled back towards the street.
I hope you have a particularly quick to execute scam in mind.
For once, his not-so-clear conscience kept its mouth shut.
Nice, nice.
That is the end of Chapter 9.
The final chapter arrives.
Yeah, this
We're here.
is basically just the epilogue.
Yeah. It's called Chicken's Run.
Yeah.
Last one was Fellowship of the Cul-de-sac.
Yeah, yeah.
As you can tell, this story was written in the early 2000s.
Published October 2nd, I almost said 2022, 2002.
October 3rd, actually.
It says October 2nd right here, though.
It's October 3rd on my time zone.
I guess.
Well, that means it was posted late in the day then.
It's this time zone moment.
Yeah, crazy. But hey, you know what that means? That means that 6 days ago, this turned 20 years old. That's crazy.
We commented on this last episode, like this is, to date, probably the oldest thing we've read on Storytime.
It's definitely up
Yeah, but-
there, at least.
Yeah, but remember how we were joking about the Mortal Kombat anniversary? This is actually the late anniversary of this specific fanfic. That's the word, fanfic. It's all coming together.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Oh yeah.
Am I gonna get to read anything in this chapter?
That's a good question.
I think it's just
I
the
mean-
Eds.
No, it's not just the Eds.
Yeah, I was just scrolling. It looks like there are some non-Eds. But I don't think they're any of my characters.
You can take over for May
For who?
Kanker, the blonde one.
Okay.
Okay. This is Chapter 10, Chicken's Run.
I truly don't know what came over me.
Double D related the day's events to Eddie as they awaited Ed's return.
But I'm afraid Naz became quite incensed by my inquiries as regarded.
As regarding her TV program. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't read quite right, but okay. But I'm afraid Naz became quite incensed by my inquiries as regarded her television program.
I feel like in regards to her TV program would have worked better, but I'm not going to backseat edit a 20-year-old story.
Yeah, I'm not
For
going
now.
to either.
Inquiry. Inquiries, Eddie snorted. He idly tossed another twig into the creek. You just can't learn to. Just can't learn to. Ugh. I just can't learn to talk, Double D. It's terrible. Just can't learn when to shut up, can you, Double D? Just can't learn when to shut up, can you, Double D? A calculating look came into his eyes. Still can't believe Naz let you into her house, though.
Yes, that's just what Kevin said.
Double D winced.
Perhaps we could move on. I would hate to belabor the point.
Yeah, fine, whatever. Eddie rolled his eyes, and Double D got the feeling he hadn't heard the last of the matter. Go back to that bit about the cankers, then. Double D shuddered at the reminder.
Do you really believe they're no longer in the vicinity? I fear we're taking a terrible risk in returning to this location so soon after...
Oh gosh. Relax, will ya? I told you. We've gotta be creekside to do this scam. Forget about the cankers. They're probably back home picking grass out of their teeth by now. Snickering, he added, Did you really leave them in that net? Double D cast one last nervous look around before answering.
I did indeed, Eddie.
He brightened as Eddie grinned his approval.
Well, I must admit, the look on their faces was truly classic.
Did you hear that, girls?
May's voice jerked both Double D and Eddie to their feet.
We're classic beauties.
She rose out of a nearby bush like some inescapable shrub monster from one of Ed's science fiction movies. Her sisters followed close behind.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear!
Double D had a hard time forming any other words as blue-white jolts of panic zinged through his brain. He had to focus intently just a gasp.
Eddie, you said they'd be long gone from here.
Since when am I the amazing Kreskin? That sounded, I just need to be more panicked. Since when am I the amazing Kreskin? The terror on Eddie's face mirrored perfectly what Ed Double D was feeling as they crowded even closer to one another. You're supposed to be the smart one, remember? Why'd you let me talk us into coming down here? He cast... My Eddie sounds like Yoshiko. He cast frantically around for an escape route, but the cankers were closing in. Oh man, I knew things were going too well. The cankers giggled ominously. I'm guessing this is Lee. What? What's the matter, Pipsqueak? You're not scared, are you? Scared? And he stiffened and turned to face them. Get real. I ain't scared of a few girly girls. May faked a lunge toward him, and he nearly fell over himself as he scrambled to duck behind Double D. Oh, he's such a little coward. He shivered with delight. Relax, Squirt. We ain't here for you. We just want to thank your little pal here for his present. Her lip curled as she snarled that last word. Oh, I cannot talk. Her lip curled as she snarled that last word. Hand him over, and we might even let you go. Double D yelped in alarm as he felt a sudden pressure on his back.
No.
Couldn't quite hear that. Could you do it again?
Oh. Eddie! Eddie, no!
He spun around to face Eddie, but his friend, seemingly mesmerized by fear, continued to push him towards the cankers.
Snap out of it, Eddie. I can't. They're going to... Eddie!
Eddie slowed and eventually stopped, blinking back to awareness. He looked away from Double D's panicked, pleading eyes as he muttered, What do you want from me, Double D? It's not like I could... Suddenly he paused, eyebrows raised. He looked back up at Ed and called over to the cankers. You know what? You ain't getting Double D. You don't scare me. Why don't you go home and play with your dolls, you loudmouth pea-brain circus freak rejects? What in heaven's name was he thinking?
Eddie,
Double D hissed.
please don't take this as ingratitude, but have you gotten mad? Inciting their ire can only...
Shut up and think, you Shut up and think, you idiot. What were we waiting here for? Double D thought.
But Ed's not going to be able to.
His eyes widened as the full implication of Eddie's words sunk in. Eddy nodded. Just think of something to get us past them, will ya? If we can lead them to Ed, we're home free. Eddy looks nervously back at the cankers as he added, and you better remember this next time you feel like complaining at me about anything. The cankers had recovered from their shock and were now grinning wickedly. Well, looks like it's 2 for 1 day, girls, said Lee. I don't know. Double D's mind raced. What could he possibly say to give them pause?
You know, ladies, I fear this whole situation has come about through a terrible misunderstanding. I assure you, the incident from our previous encounter was solely meant in the spirit of good-natured fun, a playful gesture of affection, if you will.
He lost his battle to remain calm as all 3 girls advanced.
Please, it was just a joke.
May prepared to spring.
We love jokes.
Just a prank, bro.
It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank.
It's just a prank.
It's just a prank. I want that to be my last words ever. The last thing I say before I die is it's just a prank, bro.
What, are you trying to die in like 2016?
Yeah. Dude, that can be like the legacy. That's how we like time capsule a specific era of time. Just have someone say something really stupid that's specific to a specific year, right? And boom, have that on their tombstone.
Time Stone?
Timestone.
Sonic CD?
Sonic CD?
Yeah, it's like your last words in the hospital just being like, "Don't tase me, bro."
No,
That's it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I bet you aged 15 years just hearing that. May prepared to spring.
I have to say that again, right?
Yeah.
We love jokes.
Ah, my gosh. Yeah, Lee agreed. Ever hear this one? Why the runts cross the road? Double D glanced at Eddy, who shrugged.
I'm not sure. Why did the...
They didn't. A light flashed off Lee's silver tooth as she grinned. Their girlfriends beat the living daylights out of them before they got the chance. And all 3 girls giggled.
I see.
He attempted to laugh, but it came out as a choked squeak. Beside him, he could hear Eddy gurgling.
Well, you certainly have a way with topical humor. We're even better at physical comedy.
Marie circled around to one side.
Only, I don't think you'll be laughing very hard.
Great job distracting him, sockhead, Eddy growled. Maybe I should have just handed you over when I had the chance.
You're not exactly helping here.
Double D snapped back. He tried to quell his shaking as he addressed the cankers once more.
Ladies, isn't there anything we could do to make amends? Sure.
Marie somehow cracked all her knuckles at once.
You can stand still and let us bash your cute little brains in.
May took a step forward.
Nah, let him run, Mary. I just love a good chase scene.
Perhaps we could all calm down and discuss an alternate.
Lee gave an irritated grunt. Is this a tea party? Enough with the chit-chat. Just get 'em, girls. It all happened too quickly. 1 minute, he and Eddy were still out of reach. The next, Marie had him in a headlock, while May had Eddy pinned to the ground. Double D struggled desperately, but Marie refused to let go. Lee loomed over him. Any last requests? From this close, Ed could actually see. From this close, Ed could actually see Lee's tiny eyes glaring out from beneath her tangled nest of hair. Their cold, dead gaze reminded him of a documentary he'd once seen on Piranha.
I can't think of any.
Images of skeletonized cows filled his head, and he had to look away.
Couldn't we just...
Suddenly, a snippet of memory from earlier in the day floated up to his terror-fogged mind, and he seized onto it like a lifeline. He forced himself to look at Lee once again,
Uh, actually, I do have a last request, as a matter of fact.
It was a frail hope at best, but what else did they have?
Before you, bash our brains in,
He suppressed a shudder.
could you do me the favor of answering one simple question? It's something that's been puzzling me for quite some time.
Marie pinched his cheek.
Aw, brainy to the last. I'm sorry. I'm almost sorry we gotta thrash ya.
Hannah Marie, we ain't running a dating service here. Lee turned back to Double D. All right, Runt, so what's your question? Maybe we'll answer, maybe we won't.
Ladies?
Double D noticed that Eddy was staring at him incredulously.
My question, that I'm hoping you'll be able to answer for me, is this.
He crossed his fingers and hoped that he wasn't the only one who found Johnny to be thoroughly baffling at times.
Why doesn't glue stick to the inside of the bottle?
Silence. Silence. Double D opened one cautious eye. Brows furrowed. The cankers were looking at each other in puzzlement.
Why doesn't glue stick to the inside of the bottle?
May scratched her head, stumped. She didn't even notice when Eddy slithered out from under her. Marie distractedly released him, deep in concentration.
Maybe it's because... Hey, what kind of stupid trick do you think you're pulling?
Her screech of fury brought her sisters back to the present.
They're getting away!
Double D tore off behind Eddy, canker snapping at his heels. Every thought focused on escape. He barely even noticed the burning in his lungs as fear drove him onwards. There, not too far away, he saw what he'd been afraid to even hope for until now. Ed was trudging down the path, straining under the weight of his burden. If they could just make it a little farther. Put his head down and redoubled his efforts. Just a few more steps. A merest fraction of a kilometer. An infinitesimally... Holy crap.
You almost got it.
Infinitesimally small unit of distance. Hardly even. Eddy's voice suddenly broke out. Eddy's voice suddenly broke in on his thoughts. No! Hello, I am... Hello, Eddy, I am a... That will be Double D or Eddy.
I don't know.
Hello, Eddy. Drop it! Drop the house now! At your service. I think
Oh,
that's Ed speaking.
yeah, I think that's still Ed.
At your service with a smile! Double D scrambled out of the way, and all three girls shrieked as Ed's house landed on them with a crash. As the dust settled, Ed wiped his hands together and laughed. Thank God we're dead!
Dang.
Double D managed a shaky grin.
Very apropos. Very apropos, Ed.
Like a life jacket, Double D?
Sure, Ed.
Double D leaned against the house and sank to the ground, his heart still hammering in his ears.
Oh, Eddie. I never thought we'd make it out of that in one piece. Or even 2 or 3 pieces.
And we wouldn't have had it. We wouldn't have it if it weren't for my idea for Ed's home movers. Eddy strutted over, grinning ear to ear. If Ed hadn't been toning his house down here to give the kids a taste of what they're missing, he'd be just a messy splotch on the ground by now.
Thank you for that mental image, Eddie. I certainly wasn't traumatized quite enough yet.
Yeah, Double D rubbed. I was gonna say Ed. Double D rubbed his temples and shut his eyes.
Well, regardless, I'm grateful to you both for your timely intervention. I never could have eluded their wrath on my own.
Darn right, sock, Ed, and don't you forget it. A thought came to Double D, and he frowned.
But you do realize, don't you, that the Cankers will undoubtedly seek to exact vengeance on all 3 of us now? I'm afraid you've both put yourselves in quite a precarious position for my sake.
Yeah, well, what were we supposed to do? Just leave it to him? Eddy raised an eyebrow. You really thought I was gonna, didn't you? Double D coughed uneasily.
Well,
He paused, brow furrowed.
I actually believe you were, Eddy.
Ah! Ah! Now it was Eddie's turn to look uncomfortable. Nah, would I do that? Eddy grinned. Where am I supposed to get a... Where am I supposed to... Where am I supposed... Where am I supposed to get a... What?
Nothing.
Where am I supposed to get a new egghead around here if they crack yours, eh? If those cankers show their ugly faces around us again, we'll just get Ed to drop an even bigger house on them. We ain't scared of them, are we, Ed? We are absolutely terrified, Eddy. Ed chuckles. He tried to peer under the house. I think I see a foot, guys. Shut up, Ed. Eddy started to walk off, but then he paused. So, Double D. He looked around awkwardly. Why doesn't,
Ordinary household glue is made with a quick-drying solvent that prevents it from adhering to anything. It's not until after it's out of the bottle that the solvent evaporates, and the solvent evaporates, that it acquires its adhesive properties.
Oh. Eddy nodded. Yeah, I knew that. He glared at Double D, daring him to contradict him.
Yeah, I totally knew that too. Of course, Eddy.
Double D smiled.
I merely sought to remind you.
Eddy narrowed his eyes suspiciously, but then shrugged. Whatever. Let's just go. Let's just go. Unless you two want to stay here and chit-chat all day. I'm sure the cankers will be real glad to see you waiting around for them after they dig themselves out. Double D shuddered.
You're right, Eddy. We'd best... Ed!
All three Eds tensed. Double D gasped as the memory struck him.
Oh my. Ed!
Sarah's window slid open as she glared down at the scene below her.
What did you do to the house, you idiot?
Sarah? Ed looked up at his sister and jumped with glee. God, Sarah! She wasn't taken by the spaghetti man after all! He swept his friends up and skipped around in circles. I am so happy I could eat a horse.
I don't think that's quite the phrase.
Close enough. I mean, some people eat when they're stressed. I guess Ed just eats when he's happy.
I think Ed just eats.
Yeah, exactly.
He ate
Hey, we did just look at that gif of him eating the bed, so...
and he ate a stuffed animal in the story.
Yeah, you see? That was crazy, you know?
He just ate it. What an idiot.
It's just ate
No,
it to
he
assert
had
dominance
no
on a child. It was
remorse
the
for that.
best.
He had no remorse for that thing. He just
Nope.
ate it.
Dude, we should put Ed in like some sort of fantasy story and see what kinds of crazy things he does in the middle of a war.
Oh gosh. Yeah, and then he isekai.
Yeah.
Oh great, now I have to write this.
So is Ed the DPS?
The what?
I don't know if we can call him the DPS when he's busy eating the enemy. I think more of a tank would be the correct answer here, right? You are what you eat, and he's eating armor.
That's a good point. Now the next point to make is who the hell is saying this next line?
I think it's Eddy.
All I know is this is not me.
I am so happy I could eat a horse. Sure, that's great, Ed, but we got Scram before she... Sarah! Ed stopped mid-bounce. He gasped. Guys, Sarah's back! Sarah's back, and I'm outside when I was supposed to be...
You're still grounded, mister. I jumped ahead a little. You're still grounded, mister. Oh, you're in big trouble, Ed. I'm telling Mom.
Ed crashed into the side of the house and fell backwards, spilling his friends to the ground. Hey, how did my house get here? Eddy picked himself up and glared at Sarah. Oh, great. That brat's gonna spill the beans on us again, isn't she? Double D sighed.
Yes, and I believe you're correct, Eddie.
All that running around and we're gonna end up right back where we started, aren't we?
That does seem to be the way things tend to go around here.
Eddie turned his glare on him. And he'll probably end up with, what, an hour of grounding? While me and Ed are stuck inside until we turn 80? He crossed his arms and grumbled.
Oh no, I don't think so. Mother and father clearly don't appreciate the importance of a sufficiently long sentence. I believe I'll impose my own this time. Why don't you come retrieve me when you are when you and Ed are free once more? After all, it's only fair that we receive the same punishment for the same wrongdoing, wouldn't you say?
Double D stood up and dusted himself off.
All for one and one for, the Gipper, correct?
He glanced at Ed and giggled.
Well, I'll see you later, fellas.
With a last fond look at his friends, he turned and strolled off towards home to begin his grounding. His room probably needed dusting again by now anyway. And that is the end of the story.
Funny story.
Hooray. Yeah.
All for one and one for the giver.
The
That's a perfect Ed line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think the Gipper is?
A reference to Ronald Reagan, isn't it?
Reagan?
That was like one of his nicknames, I believe.
All for one and one for Reagan, huh? Let's see.
Ed's like
Gipper.
a faulty satellite TV. He just picks up whatever comes into his head at any moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And yeah, the very first thing that came up in the search engine when I searched the Gipper is, why is Ronald Reagan called the Gipper? Times Mojo.
Yep. There really is Ronald Reagan.
There's also a Mr. George Gipp, good old football player. He too is the Gipper.
Hmm.
Ooh, Urban Dictionary, the Gipper.
Dictionary,
Lord.
the greatest source of slang.
This sure is the Gipper, all right. Ooh boy, not reading that out loud.
Oh gosh. Anyway.
that sounds like Urban Dictionary.
Yep.
Anyways,
It still has some relation to Reagan though, so close enough.
yeah, the author Zephyr Sama definitely has a firm, pardon me, they have a firm grasp on like the characters, I guess their voice, their mindsets, their
Demeanor,
thought processes, or in Ed's case, lack thereof.
Yeah, it's
For
like,
sure.
yeah. Felt very in character.
Every single thing that I read, I was like, yeah, this feels like something that would happen in Ed, Ed, and Eddy.
That's how I felt too, despite having seen like maybe 2 episodes in my entire lifetime.
And you need to get on that then.
It's only
You need
like
to try-
64 episodes, so
Yeah. Watch all 64, come out of it as an Ed head, you're good.
an Ed head.
I don't know, man. That new season of anime is starting.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it
you
was
see,
like, yeah.
That's exactly it. You can watch the best anime with the best animation. Ed, Ed, and Eddy. Hand drawn and everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there's like 140 episodes or something in there.
I'm at like 64 half hours.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make it like 100 something if they're quarter-hour episodes.
Yeah.
But it's not that bad, you know?
I mean, hey, I've already done worse. I already marathoned all of Power Rangers that was out at the time.
Now that sounds like a journey, an adventure even. What's your
It
favorite
was.
part? My personal favorite is SPD. I like
Oh
SPD.
my god. No one likes SPD though.
What are you talking about? It's a fan favorite.
It is a fan favorite.
Maybe the opening.
No, it's
SPD
one of those
emergency?
popular seasons. Like
It's one of those things where it's probably a situation where the fan base doesn't like it, but if you talk to any random person on the street, they'll say it's one of their favorites.
The Power Rangers fan base doesn't like anything. Like, I can say that because I'm one of them.
You know what? You're right.
Great, now I found my people. So I guess we have to read a Power Ranger story down the line.
if I am gonna give an honest answer to the question, probably Dino Thunder.
Of course, it's always Dino Thunder. You're like the 17th person I've talked to in a row that said Dino Thunder.
I'm nostalgic for that season.
That's fair.
I have
'cause it's a
nothing to
fun
add
show.
to any of this. I don't know what we're talking about.
Yo, we're Samurai
I will
Gang, yeah, we're
educate you
Samurai
one day,
Gang, yeah.
Harry. I will educate
Yo,
you
you
one day.
Samurai's pretty fun too.
Yeah. Just because it's
Now,
samurai
see,
stuff.
I
now
don't
I
know.
hear
I don't know
people
what any
talking
of
that
this. I don't know what any of this
kind of
means.
heartwarming. Okay, Harry, there's this thing called the Great War with the Power Coins. Zordon fights the United Alliance of Evil. Oh gosh.
Now you got to be pulling
We'll
shit
get
out of
it.
the
I'll
comics.
educate you
'Cause I
one
have
day.
no
Ay,
idea what
ay,
happened.
ay, ay, bro.
I'm
Yeah.
No,
Ay,
that's
ay,
from
ay,
the
ay,
show.
ay.
I will educate
The
you.
show? What
I'll
part of the
educate you
show?
all one day. But
I'm so lost.
OG time.
the United Alliance of Evil refers to the group of villains that are seen in Power Rangers in space. That's just like
Yeah.
Zed, Rita, the Machine Empire, Divatox, Astronema. All of these names are real, by the way, and
Yeah.
I
they're
can
led by this
confirm.
enigmatic creature known as Dark Spectre. One day, Harry, we'll talk about this more. But for now,
this
this is
Power
Ed and Eddy,
Rangers?
the best Power
One
Ranger
day.
season.
Okay.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. It's a cute little story. It just feels like a Lost episode.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really does. It's really well handled. I didn't even notice any typos. Were there any in the earlier chapters?
Not that
think
I can
this was-
recall. Like 2 words got merged into one by mistake, but that's about it.
Yeah,
this
my
seems to
friend.
have just been-
There was a space
Yeah.
missing between my friends.
Okay. So instead of my friends, it's my friends, like you're Ike and you fight for your friends.
I fight for my friends.
I fight for my friends. So yeah, this seems like it was just
So-
really well written in general.
Yeah,
It was
pretty
fun.
solid.
Yeah. So
Pretty
Yeah.
fun all
Mhm.
around.
2002
Yeah,
fanfics
so-
are built different apparently.
I didn't really have much to say about it. It was just kind of
Funny.
it just felt like a fun like lost episode, like you said.
I really liked reading Johnny's lines. Those were really good.
Oh gosh, Johnny. I'm sorry that you couldn't be here for like the first half, Ped. Rolf had some good lines.
Of course, Rolf always has good lines. He's Rolf.
I
That's
think
right.
we were here
Just
for the second
mandatory.
half where the rest of the characters came in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where everyone except for Gohan Blanco came in. Yeah.
Oh, Blanco!
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Rolf's the only
that-
character.
Everybody
What?
started talking at once there. That was crazy.
Yeah. That fucking Spanish DBZ joke tier list is fucking hilarious.
Did you know they made like fan animations based on that stuff? It was so
No!
There's,
No,
there-
you're
there are
kidding.
There are videos of like Shaggy Rojo going Ultra Instinct and fighting against El Hermano and Gohan Blanco and stuff. It's so good. It's so good.
Oh my
Alright,
god, I want
so-
to find it. I want to find. Oh my god, I did find it. I literally just found it by searching Spanish Dragon Ball Power chart.
Was this like what? I'm sorry. Did this come from? The character names are in Spanish because it came from a Spanish speaking fan. Was it just people
Yeah, it's a
picking
Spanish
words
meme
randomly?
thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh no, this
Okay.
is a different one.
it's a I don't know if the if it was like originally like a Spanish thing or if they just chose Spanish words to make it funnier because it's a very funny sounding language when you just read it out without actually knowing Spanish. But it's the good stuff. I know it probably all started with El Hermano just because that was like something made in the Spanish community, like the brother of Jiren. That's like why he's called El Hermano. It's just the brother.
Okay.
Then things just snowballed from there, you know? Like, Rolf and Shaggy are a part of the Dragon Ball universe now. It's crazy.
Yeah, here it is. Like at the top, at quintuple S is Gohan Blanco completado. Then quad S, it's El Hermano, Jiren Negro, and Vegito Ultra Instinct.
Oh my gosh.
I love
Anyway,
it. It's so good.
Triple S, Gohan Calvo. Which
Gohan what?
Calvo, I believe it's bald Gohan. Because he looks bald in this picture. Double
There you
S, double S, El Grande Padre, forma
Yeah, there he is.
verdadera.
El Grande Padre is my favorite character.
somewhere.
Then in single S, Gohan Blanco, incomplete, El Grande Padre, again, Regla de Todos, and Majeta Broly.
My mother just dropped a bowl of food in front of me. I don't know what it is.
Sounds pretty good.
Do you risk it?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna risk it. I wasn't. I don't want to spend money to order stuff. Uh,
Risk it for the
maybe I'll get some
biscuit.
ice cream later. Yeah.
Then
I
in
might get
A,
something.
we
Yeah, so,
then in A we have Hiren, Vejito Azul, Whis,
I'm
Whis,
sorry. I'm sorry.
and Goku Ultra Instinct.
Oh, excuse me.
That instinct.
Sorry,
Well,
are we gonna...
it says
Operation
Ultra
Goku.
Instinct, but the whole thing is in Spanish, so I'm going to say it with a Spanish accent.
Okay.
Wait, shouldn't it be like what is? How do you like do a little translation from Ultra Instinct? It'd be like
Instinto Ultra.
Instinct Ultra.
what was I gonna say? Okay, so yeah, I enjoyed the characters. I wish you could have been here for Raw Head. I think he's the only character in the first half. It doesn't show up in the second half at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, Double D was basically just hopping along from character to character, trying to find some companionship.
Getting assaulted by everyone along the way.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah, this works as this just works as a decent character study of the cast. And yeah, this isn't much of not really a fault. This really isn't a fault with the story, but yeah, it's a little difficult to. It's kind of difficult to kind of not parse, but it's difficult to kind of write in like full on NNA slapstick in a text format. That's. Like, there's definitely moments of it in the story, but they kind of just don't bother, and that's perfectly fine because I'm not sure if it would work. Like, Ed pulling out his brain by mistake was funny, though.
Yeah, that happened so suddenly. I like double took. I was like, "What just happened?" I wasn't ready at all.
I figured when he was gonna shove his hand up his nose looking for stringy stuff, he'd find a brain, but
Yeah.
I was looking at the DBZ power chart. What were you talking about?
Don't worry about it. Where do you think Ed ranks in the DBZ power chart, though?
Ed whips a pebble in a shoe without it.
That's a good
Ed,
question.
Ed with the meatballs or without them?
Form of the meatball.
I mean, I'm fairly certain there's a tier list of power level tier list that someone's done on YouTube.
Definitely has to be.
Like when Ed had that pebble in his shoe, he was like nearly invincible.
Ed is the real ultimate life form confirmed.
Yeah.
That episode
He's
is
the
hilarious.
What is the versus battles wiki say about Ed
Oh
with
my
a pebble in
God.
his shoe?
Oh no!
So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say for now. I enjoyed reading the story with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
And,
Okay, it
yeah,
looks
I
like
don't
Ed's
know-
power is only building level plus. It's not too crazy, but he has superhuman speed and class K lifting strength.
So I don't know what we're reading next episode. I guess I'll have to go look through some stuff. Maybe I'll find a Mortal Kombat story. Like,
Yeah. Dun
Yeah.
dun 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 dun.
yeah, let's just read a story. It's just the lyrics of the song.
Just screaming Mortal Kombat.
Yes, that's the
Character
whole story.
names.
The character names, yeah, it depends on the version of the song, but
Oh, good
I could
lord.
write a Mortal Kombat story. I just need like time and drive and
Yeah.
effort.
Well, you have no
Mortal
time. Do it for next week.
Yeah.
Get it ready by next week.
You're on the clock
If
now.
you don't get it done by next week, you die.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
We already started the hit.
Which
I've got a
combatant
Nerf
kills
gun
me?
aimed right outside your window.
Yeah.
No, Cat Mario will just appear outside your house.
Oh no. Real fur or faux fur?
So, who knows? We'll find something. That's what we do. We do stuff sometimes.
Yeah, we do thing.
We persevere.
Yep.
Yeah.
I, for one, think we should do a Dragon Ball one, based exactly on
Eventually.
what we just talked about.
Maybe.
On Blanco.
Yeah.
There's got to be some crazy stuff like that out there, you know.
Oh gosh, trying to imagine what nonsense I could find. Oh gosh, maybe one day. So that's all I have for today. So I'm going to just. That's all I have for today. So yeah, I wish you all a good night and hope you all are safe today. Have a good day. And yeah, that's all my current thoughts. If anyone else has anything else to add, please, by all means.
Yeah, why does glue stick to the inside of the bottle? Or why doesn't it?
Ask your parents.
Oh, fine.
Well, you see, Ped.
Hey, Mom!
Oh my god.
Why does glue stick, or not stick, why does it not stick to the inside of the bottle?
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Lee,
She doesn't know.
sorry
Damn.
to hear that. Well, that's about all I have to say.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't have anything else either.
I've already said my piece. I think this was very funny. Probably the one I've enjoyed reading the most so far since joining.
Well, that's good.
How many stories have you read again?
Mm.
A few, like 6
Like
maybe.
this.
I don't know.
The Scooby-Doo story, some of Future Mario Brothers, I think.
That one Toho Disney World one. I like that one. That one
There was
cute.
the other
Remember
Toho
there-
story
yeah.
where like Raymond got struck by lightning.
Yeah, I
that-
think that's literally just what it was called.
Yeah.
Reboot gets struck by lightning.
I did it. Yeah, I did enjoy the Disney World thing.
Yeah. I really like those kinds of stories. They're like, it takes a character that's clearly not normal and just throws them into the most normal situation ever,
Yeah.
going to Disney World.
It's just a fun scenario.
Yeah.
So
Amusement park
yeah.
stuff is fun in general. Like that episode of Dragon Ball Z when Android 18 and Android 17 invade an amusement park and ride the rides. I love that episode.
It's a real episode.
It's a real
I think
episode.
it was.
Awesome.
I was gonna say. So yeah, this will not be our last NNA story, but we'll certainly revisit this sliver of the Cartoon Network universe eventually.
Yeah. When are we doing Courage though?
Eventually.
That's a good question.
The things we do for love, you know?
That's probably the title of a story.
Definitely.
Probably like just some really introspective story about like Courage's whole mindset protecting Muriel and Eustace.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. There gotta be some good K&D ones out there too, right? I know I love
Oh,
Kids Next Door.
Right, right.
I mean, that show turns 20 in like a month or so maybe
Yeah,
next
I'm
month.
prepared, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's all I got for today.
Same here.
Yep.
Fare thee well, everyone, and may your jawbreakers be sweet and tasty.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Bye.